Hello?
Hi, Donna.
Hey.
Hi, Donna.
All right, the gang's all here.
Yes,
Yep.
sir.
Well, good evening. Sylvie, are we waiting for anybody else to join us?
No, I believe we have everyone. I am just recording and we are going live on Facebook. So it's just logging in now. And it'll just take a few seconds and I think we'll be ready to start. I'll let you know.
Okay, thanks so much.
What does live on Facebook mean?
It's called Committee of Adjustment. Consent.
What does that live on Facebook mean? What does that mean?
It means that you can watch it on Facebook Live.
Okay,
Anybody can watch us, Joanne.
okay.
Okay, it's ready to go.
Okay, thank you, Sylvie. So as I said, good evening. This is the Committee of Adjustment and Consent Granting Authority meeting of January 26th at 5 p.m. It's a Zoom virtual meeting. I'm the chair of that committee with my colleagues, Mr. Fenlon and Mr. Lego, and we're ready to get underway. We have a determination of quorum, and I see Corey. Dawn, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Perfect, there you are. Here's a smiley face. Okay, so we have quorum, no updates. Kristen, are you still with us as well?
Yes, I'm here.
There she is. Have you been on a fairly steep learning curve, I'm assuming? You're learning
yes.
all about it? Perfect. Well, welcome back.
Thank you.
I want to call the meeting to order, and we want to open the Committee of Adjustment meeting. I need a mover. That's Dawn Fenlon,
Seconded by Corey.
seconded by Corey Lego. That the Committee of Adjustment meeting of January the 26th, 2021 be declared open and called to order at 5:03 p.m. All those in favor? And it's carried. Okay, we have an agenda before us, and I'd like to know if there is any issues or concerns from my committee members, please, only with respect to this agenda. Is there anything that needs to be added, or if there's anything that was missed? Speak
I
now.
didn't get the agenda. Hello?
Hello, no, you wouldn't, you probably wouldn't have. It's for our committee members. Joanne, what I'm gonna ask is we're holding this committee and you are part of a delegation. And so what I ask is that as we run our committee, that you please just sit and listen. We absolutely will hear from you. But what happens is we have some matters of business that we have to deal with until we get to your application. At that point, there will be a discussion, and then I'll call on you, absolutely, to
Great.
hear what you have to say. Okay, absolutely,
Yeah,
okay,
I've
good.
never done one of these like this, so I
I'm
saw.
sorry, just to jump in, because anyone who's not on the committee, please mute your mics, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Jody. Thank you for that. Yeah, it is different. It absolutely is different how we're running things now, and it's a challenge, but we're all rising to it because we need to carry on and do business as much as normal as possible.
Great.
So I was simply bringing the committee on the agenda. Gentlemen, is there anything?
None
No.
for me.
If not, okay. Could I have somebody to move and then somebody to second the agenda to be approved as submitted?
I'll move it.
Okay, I'll have Donald.
Corey
Fenlon,
seconds.
And thank you, Corey. That the Committee of Adjustment be approved the agenda as submitted, and that is dated the 26th of January 2021. All those in favor? And that's carried. Okay. So we have before us our minutes from last meeting, which was also a Zoom call, and that was January 12th at 5 p.m. Everybody on my committee here has had a chance to take a look at those minutes, I'm assuming. And is there any concerns, issues, errors, or omissions?
None that I could see. I reviewed them this afternoon after.
Looks good to me.
Okay. So then I have a motion that I want to put on the floor. I need a mover and a seconder to accept those minutes as presented. Corey?
I'll move.
I'll second it. Donald?
Okay. So I have a motion then before the committee, moved by Corey Lego, seconded by Donald Fenlon. The minutes of the Committee of Adjustment meeting of January 12th, 2021 be adopted as presented. All those in favor? And that is carried. Okay.
Donna,
Yes.
you missed item 4, pecuniary interest.
Just getting, oh, sorry, just getting there.
Okay.
Is there any disclosure of a pecuniary interest or the general nature thereof from my committee members?
No.
Nothing for me either. Donald?
No, I have none. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay. All right. So do we have a delegations then? I guess I'm asking Sylvie. I'm assuming yes, we do, because I see Joanne there. Is there anyone else, delegation that's present here tonight?
No, there is not. Joanne is a delegation and Mitch is here as the applicant, and that's everyone.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so then we have an application before us. It is a consent application. What I'd like to share is and announce to everybody present is that this is a public hearing to hear comments on this consent application. The committee will hear comments and evaluate written submissions. The committee makes the final decision. There is a 20-day appeal period from the date of that decision. Any person who objects to the proposed minor or consent application may do so in writing to the Secretary Treasurer of the committee and must attach the fee required for the appeal. This appeal will be forwarded to the local planning appeal tribunal for their review, just so we're all on the same page. I also, before we get into the application itself, want to make sure that my committee members have all of the documents. Some were sent out via email, others were given to us in our packages. And I just want to make sure that you guys have the application itself, the report, as well as the presentation that we received from Sylvie and Kristen. And then we have comments from Bell Canada. We also have 2 letters from Joanne and Gord Ford. We have a letter from Anne and Roger Sautel. And then we have a response from Patrick, our planner, to the Ford second letter, I believe. Do we all have those documents?
Yes, I have.
Perfect.
Yeah, I read them today.
Perfect. So let's go now.
Ma'am, I don't, did you say you have something from Patrick Toes? That's the name, Patrick? I don't.
And Patrick will, yeah, you know, that's fine. Joanne, Patrick will speak to that because he's actually going to present the report tonight for us. So he will speak to most of the questions that you had, some of the inquiries. So he'll speak to that, okay? You'll hear it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so the application then that we have before us is a consent application C01-2021, and it's received from Mr. Mitch Wills for the subject lands known as 673 and 675 Drayton Road. And it's to create 1 new lot on the subject lands for a total of 3 lots. So I would now ask, I believe Patrick Sylvie is going to be the one to present the report to us this evening.
It's actually Jamie, but Jamie, if you want, I can read the presentation, or if you have, if you would like to do the plan, your report.
I think it
My
may be,
apologies, Jamie.
that's okay, Madam Chair, not a problem. What I think might be most efficient and most useful and helpful for everybody if I were to share my screen and just put up a copy of the figure that identifies the configuration of the lots. And then what I can do is walk you through the proposed application and the relevant considerations for the committee. I think that would make the most efficient use of time and provide the committee with the pertinent information. So if you do,
Excuse me, can I ask
I
a
agree.
question to the chair?
Yeah.
Hello?
Joanne?
Yeah.
I would really appreciate if you wouldn't continue to interrupt, but absolutely, this is new and it's new for us as well.
Sorry, I don't-
Will be an opportunity for you to speak, absolutely. And we do want to hear from you, but we need to hear all of the facts based on the application, based on the report, and based on our presentation that's provided by our colleagues that support us. And then you'll have ample opportunity to have your say, if you will.
Just a minute though, you said the application is for the 3 lots. It also includes, it says here, the application also includes an easement over the proposed new lot and lot 2 for an existing private road.
That's right. So if you want to just hang on, if you just want to hang on a second, there is an easement that's also to be dealt with, and Jamie will discuss that. We'll also share with you information with respect, because I think you may have, may not quite fully understand what an easement is on somebody's property. So let's give him the opportunity to present the report to the committee, and wait for questions until after when we call upon you. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
thank you, Madam Chair, and good evening, committee members and staff, and all those watching at home as well. My name is Jamie Robinson. I'm a planning consultant with the municipality. I'm a partner with MHBC, and we assisted the municipality in the review of this consent application. This consent application, and I just want to make sure, Madam Chair, that you can see my screen with the lot layout present. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
This proposed application is located on Drayton Road, and I'll just slide over here briefly. It's this is the location of the subject lands. It has frontage on Abram Lake. The property has frontage on Abram Lake. What's being proposed here, the existing lots are identified in red. There's actually 2 lots currently. What's proposed, it's a somewhat of a unique situation, is proposed to sever a portion of this lot here, which is lot 675, and a portion of this lot here, which is lot 673 Drayton Road. And the result would be one new lot. This application has been made by Mr. Wills, who is owner of this lot, and he'll correct me if I'm wrong here. That's a ownership structure where I believe there's 3 brothers that are involved in 3 properties. I believe Mr. Wills has ownership of this lot, part ownership of this lot, and a 3rd brother owns this lot. It's been explained to me the intent of the application is to sever a lot, which is this area again outlined in yellow, and the intent would be for his daughter to be able to construct a dwelling in that location, and that's the purpose of the lot, of the proposed lot. So in terms of the retained lots, they would be effectively these L-shaped lots with access to this lot being provided by this existing laneway, and this lot has 50 meters of frontage on Abram Lake. The other retained lot, which is located in this area, would obtain access again through that existing area. It also has frontage on Drayton Road. This lot has 60 meters of frontage that's existing on Abram Lake. In terms of the new lot would have frontage of 50 meters on Drayton Road. So the 50 meters of frontage is in this area right here. In terms of the lot area of the proposed severed lots, the new lot would have a lot area of 1 hectare, this lot here. So what's sort of unique about this situation is they are quite deep lots. The new lot would be about 200 meters deep or 600 feet deep. So it's quite a distance from Drayton Road to the shoreline. What's also proposed as part of this application is an easement. Right now, there's currently a legal easement that exists right here over this, over lot 2, or the existing lot 2 in this area. So right up in the top corner, a piece of that existing easement exists over the proposed severed lot in this location. So what that easement would do is it would effectively recognize and provide legal access over that existing driveway or private roadway that's located in that instance. So it's not to create a new access point, it's to legally recognize the existing access point in that area. And that's the purpose of the easement in this location. So again, committee's being asked to make a decision on 2 applications. First being the easement, and secondly being the creation of this new lot at this location. In terms of designations, the subject lands, the entire peninsula, as you can see in this excerpt from the schedule of the official plan, is designated shoreline residential. And what's being proposed here is to maintain the existing lots in a shoreline residential zone, and to one of the conditions of provisional approval, if committee were to grant approval, would be to zone the proposed lot as in a rural residential zone that would limit the uses to rural residential type uses and recognize the frontage and area on those on that lot. There'd also have to be, for lack of a better term, there'll have to be some lawyering conducted and some to make sure that these lots, the consent actually gets broken on those lots, to ensure they're not separately conveyable at the end of the day, to effectively allow those 2 to merge in title. It's a unique sort of nuance with this situation where we've got lands being brought together from two different lots. That's a condition of consent which has been included should the committee decide to approve the application. The recommendation from staff at this point, we do recognize it's a unique situation. You don't typically see lots that are this deep and extending from a road to a water body. So this is a unique situation in that respect. We have recommended deferral of the application. The official plan has a policy in section 411, which deals with the shoreline residential designation that recognizes that the shoreline residential designation is to be a single tier of development. So until that policy is addressed, staff's not able to provide sign off on the application. Effectively, this lot in this location would result in a second tier of development, and that's the reason for the deferral. Again, I do indicate it is a fairly unique situation due to the depths of the properties, but in all other aspects of the official plan, the application does conform with the plan. It's that one policy related to single tier of development that we've recommended deferral of the application based upon. So I think that provides an overview of the application and some of the background associated with it. If there's any questions that arise, I can do my best to try to answer those, but I'll turn it back over to you, Madam Chair, and if you have any to carry on with your meeting script. So thank you. Oh, you're on mute, Madam Chair.
Sorry, there you go. The one item that I would like maybe you to just address briefly is what an easement is, because there is I think a bit of a misunderstanding on the part of the public that in some way this takes away from the frontage of your property, and it does not. It's simply a designation. If you could maybe explain that briefly.
Certainly.
Just for the committee and for those that are in delegates here.
Certainly. So there are many forms of easements. Easements provide the opportunity for legal travel or legal access over a property. In this case, the easement exists over there is an easement over the current road, or the current private road or driveway, if you will, that bisects the property. And it's just to ensure that residents that reside on the lots that are past the subject land, so these lots in this area, can travel over this portion of the property legally. Now, the easement that's a part of this application is just up in the corner here. We see other easements all the time in a land use planning context for things like Bell Canada has easements, or Hydro One has easements over properties, or the municipality often has easements through individual properties for sewer lines or water lines or stormwater situations. And it's to ensure that repairs can be undertaken to those pieces of infrastructure. So it's really more of a technical thing than anything, and it doesn't change the actual limits of a lot or the lot area of a lot at all. It's not a separately conveyable parcel of land in any sense. And in this case, it's specifically defined for access purposes so that legal travel can occur over that area. Hopefully that helps to.
It does. Thank you so much for that, because I think there may have been a bit of a misunderstanding on essentially what that is. Thank you, sir. This is now just for my committee, just for Mr. Lego and Mr. Penland. I think we need to have a little bit of discussion to ensure that we have in our minds things clear before we call on delegations or the applicant to maybe advise or clarify. I'll start off by simply stating that I understand that the lot it's a huge parcel of land. And so what we're dealing with is well within, as Jamie has shared, well within the zoning bylaw, and it is a hectare in lot size, which is significant. The two remaining will be more than sufficient size to meet requirements. I guess the issue here for me is simply the characterization of a single tier versus the second tier development, and concerns that are being shared with us that perhaps this is opening a door for allowing. And I mean, have to wonder if it wouldn't be specific to that unique circumstance or set of circumstances. But in this case, they're worried that if this happens now, that there would be additional backlot development. Now there is one, I understand there is one that has already, one parcel that has already had this occur along Drayton Road. And so I guess we could say that, you know, in essence, it has already happened. It happened many, many years ago, but we do have a precedent, if you will, that has allowed that. But at the same time, we have to recognize that the official plan does not provide for secondary tier development along the shoreline. So I guess that's my concern that I would share. Corey or Dawn, do you have anything else or any questions?
So are we considering this residential shoreline, or are we considering this residential or rural residential? Which is it?
It's residential shoreline at this point. They
Yeah.
would have to, one of the things that a condition that we'd have to place on the applicant is that they would have to go back and get a zoning amendment, if you will, for that third parcel to be a rural residential in order to go forward. So that would be a large consideration, because it would be something additional work, that an application that would have to go forward.
Next question regarding 4.11 of the official plan. What are the steps? Why are you? I sort of understand why you're asking for deferral, but what are the steps? That is that going to be going to council to make a decision to add something to our bylaws? Well, it would have to, but if Jamie could speak to that.
Certainly through you, Madam Chair, to the, well, I guess we'll call him committee member tonight. I know it's a councilor, but
I have the same question. I had the same question. Like, what happens if we defer it? It's like, what does the applicant do?
Yeah, so there's really two options or two paths, I think, that this could go down. Is one, the applicant could make an application for official plan amendment for a site-specific situation to establish a site-specific policy that allowed for the creation of a second tier, basically to not apply that section of the plan that doesn't allow for second tier development. So site-specific application could be made and considered by council. Second option would be that if this is something globally that that council thinks is an issue that should be changed, or something that should be changed in the official plan, then the council could look at making a wholesale change to the official plan that would subsequently accommodate this application. So those are the two sort of options that are available. I do, and I did mention this a few times in the overview of the application, is somewhat of a unique situation here as well. It is a deeper lot than most in the shoreline designation. So that's just something also for you to keep in mind in your review. But those are the two real options that are available if committee chooses not to approve this and chooses to defer it. They would site-specific application initiated by the applicant, or municipal initiated application on a global scale.
Okay. Regarding other sizes of lots in that area, do most lots have enough room to even consider a second tier build on their land? Because I know, like, it says here that it's supposed to be 1 hectare, but in our official bylaw, it's actually 0.8 of a hectare.
So
2 acres.
Sorry, I'll speak to that. So our first attempt at the recent zoning bylaw update, we tried for 2 acre lots in the rural, but we got turned down by the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing because it doesn't meet the provincial standard for rural lot sizes. So both rural and residential shoreline lots have to be a minimum 2.5 acres just to support private water and sewer. And then speaking to that, when you look at, again, this is a unique situation in that not a lot of properties have enough property to support, you need at least 5 acres in essence in order to be able to do this. And when you look at most of these properties, I actually had an inquiry today about this property here, and it's only 2 acres because he was looking to subdivide, and it's not feasible because it's only 2.11 acres. So it's, you need a big chunk. I mean, here's a big chunk, and this is, I believe this is the chunk we're looking at, but it's already been split into 3 lots. It was a big chunk. So it's, oh yeah, I'm doing it, and you guys can't see you can't see my mouse.
I'm doing my best to try to interpret, Mr. Brinkman.
Yeah, I can see it. We can see it actually. Yeah, Jody, we can see it. It is a unique, I think, circumstance. It is a very large piece of property. Having said that, I guess the other question that I'd have, and sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, Corey. I just want to jump in while it's fresh on the top of my brain. Is there a way that Mr. Wills could simply place an accessory building? I mean, he could circumvent us and place an accessory building on this property and not, if you will, conform, because it is for his daughter, and there would be very little we could do about it. Is that not indeed the case, Jamie? I mean, help me out here.
Yeah, we permit secondary dwelling units in the rural area outside of the main building, but the size is limited to about 600 square feet. So anything bigger than that would need some sort of variance or amendment. But you're right, if they chose to build kind of a smaller apartment close to the road, that's something they can do legally now.
Okay. Yeah, I wanted to share that because I wanted the applicant to be aware of that as well. We recognize that there is a couple avenues here that can be taken. There's a fair amount of conditions that would be placed on him, and there may be other options as well. So there may be another avenue he could go down. Corey, was there anything else? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's fine. I'm just wondering, before Mr. Wills goes down the path of legally binding lots without us giving an answer, it's sort of futile to be doing all of this when there's so many other unanswered questions before that. So I think we're sort of in a bind here with 411 not allowing anything to happen and binding the properties, getting, I don't even know if that new property is even surveyed yet. So there's a whole host of issues. And like you said, whether it would be wise for Mr. Wills to do a site specific for that piece instead of going through this process, I'm not too sure. I think there's just so much is in the air right now that, and there's so many unanswered questions. I don't know how long this is going to even take to get answers for it.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you there, Corey. Donald?
Yes. Yeah, it's a good discussion. My only concern, I took a ride down there today and looked at it, and easement is an easement. It's going to be what it's going to be. But the two lots that are on either side of it, is there a chance that they'd want to subdivide that again? Because there is another lot in town that we done many years ago, but, well, not that many, about 8 years ago. It had the same situation. They had a large piece of land that run up the side of the other lot. And that give them the amount of frontage that they needed for the road. So, but I hearing that, how do they call that shoreline residential when these blocked? If you have put that line, if you put that lot in there, you're not against the shoreline anymore. The existing property is. Does that matter? Well,
Maybe if I could just assist with that, Madam Chair, to the
Yeah, because it absolutely does. Go ahead, Jamie.
yeah. So the current situation is we've got two existing. Maybe I'll just, for sake of assisting everybody to see, I'll just share my screen here. The current situation is the two existing lots here. Both have shoreline frontage. Both are considered shoreline residential lots. What's proposed is that a condition would be that if the lot's allowed to be created by the committee tonight, one of the conditions is that this lot be zoned to a rural residential lot to recognize the fact, as the member has mentioned, because it would not have frontage any longer on the lake. So the result, if the committee approves the application, would be existing lot with frontage on the lake, shoreline residential. Existing lot 2 with frontage on the lake, shoreline residential. New lot, which does not have shoreline on the lake, rural residential. That would be the end result should this committee decide to approve the application tonight. Hopefully that helps to provide a little bit of clarity to the question.
Well, one question I have, Jamie, maybe you can help me out here, is I was confused because of that, because we had the shoreline residential. So you're looking at your frontage being on the lake, whereby this new lot, the frontage is on Drayton Road. Correct. And so my thinking was, then shouldn't we be looking at, with respect to the zoning bylaw, all the frontage on Drayton Road to make sure that there's still sufficient frontage, if you will, because it is changing that fabric, that area so much with cutting into both lots. That was I was a bit confused, and thank you for that. I think it's clearer now why we're doing this. There's still another step that has to be taken, or would have to be taken if we go forward with this.
Yeah, and Madam Chair, it's the implementing zoning bylaw amendment. And from a frontage perspective, these lots would still be maintaining their frontage here as per the bylaw. It's the main focus on shoreline residential lots is the waterfront. And the existing, from a planning context, it's our opinion that these lots do have enough sufficient frontage maintaining on Drayton Road to provide appropriate access to the lot. At the end of the day, there's not really any activity happening on this portion of the land or this portion of the land. All the activity is happening down by the lake. So the real function of this is to provide access to the lake. Conversely, on this lot, the frontage is the actual to provide access, and And I'm not sure where they intend to build the dwelling, but likely the dwelling's going to be closer to the road. And that's a typical situation in a rural residential lot. One thing I should have added earlier is that from a staff perspective, we've recommended deferral and we have not recommended denial of the application. So we're not saying the application's without merit. We're saying that we think there's an OP issue. Now, committee tonight can do what they want with the application. They can decide to approve it. They can decide to defer it. They can decide to deny the application. They have really those three options available to them. But and they can place whatever weight the committee decides they want to place on it, on that recommendation from staff, and also on those OP policies as they exist. But that's why I've tried to make it clear for you tonight that there is a unique set of circumstances here. We do have policies that, as planners, we have to make our recommendations based on, but you as a committee, you do have options available to you based on what you see before you. So hopefully that provides a little bit of assistance.
Okay,
Do
thank
we know if access is going to be off of the easement to the property, or does a new access have to be made off of Drayton Road?
So through Madam Chair, to the councillor, access to this property is from the easement. Access to this property would continue through here. They would have the opportunity in the future, if they decided to do a driveway down, they could do that for some reason if there wasn't an amicable relationship. But right now the same owner owns both properties. So that's a situation that's addressed. This property, it's my understanding that the access would come off of where that
You're not sharing
existing.
your screen right now.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, jumped the gun on that one. Sorry about that.
It's okay. I think we're understanding you though. We're
Yeah,
getting quite
so
familiar with this.
my understanding
proposal.
is the access for the new lot would occur from that existing easement. And if that's a concern, another access point somewhere along Drayton Road, that could be a condition that the committee adds, is that the access has to be from the existing location there. So there aren't any other access points along the road.
So if we decide to approve, what would be the steps for the applicant, the next steps?
So what I'm going to do now is I'll just refer to the conditions, and maybe I'll put them up on screen so you can see those.
Yes, please.
So there's a number of potential conditions of provisional consent that have been recommended. So the first one are basically your standard conditions that relate to the legal matters and preparing reference plans and those sorts of things. That's what the first two. Third condition is a standard condition related to parkland. The fourth one, which I did not mention, which I should have, oh, my apologies here, should have mentioned, is that the lake is a lake trout lake. So one of the recommendations is that the property be rezoned so that the dwelling has to be located and the septic have to be located more than 120 meters from the lake. That's to deal with the lake capacity and the fact that it's a lake trout lake. So that's a condition. So the zoning amendment would accomplish that. So the main condition or the main action item, if it's approved, is the zoning amendment associated with the property. And then the other standard conditions relate to confirming from that a well and a septic can be sited on the property, that easement get appropriately registered. And then number 7 is the unique one that I identified earlier, that confirmation that these two parcels can no longer be conveyed separately and they actually merge. So those are the conditions, but the key next step would be applying for a zoning bylaw amendment application.
So if it was changed to rural residential, would that 120 meters apply?
Yes, it would. That's a standard. And I should have mentioned, sorry, an application for zoning bylaw amendment was submitted concurrently. So the next step would be the public meeting for that,
Okay.
if it's approved. But yes, it would apply. The 120 meters it's really to protect fish habitat and lake quality. And that's a requirement in the OP.
I will state this. I have an issue that Abram Lake is not a lake trout lake, but that is my personal opinion. I've lived here for 51 years and I've never heard of a lake trout being caught on that lake. So, but it is what it is. It's
I'm sorry. Mhm.
that, yeah, I just have an issue with that, but that's my issue, my personal issue.
Just as an aside, Corey, I had to ask Bruce because I thought, what? When I read it. And
Yeah.
Bruce is my husband. What are they talking about here? And he was like, I don't think so. But anyways, that's an
So
aside.
would they have to get approval from the MNR as well? MNRF?
No, it would strictly be that no development occur within 120 meters, which I don't think anyone would build within 120 meters of the lake on that proposed severed lot anyways. It's a,
And so this 120 is just for new created lots, right? So we have existing lots all over the place.
Yeah.
Because I was sort of thrown off by that. I'm like, well, why would anyone buy shoreline if they can't build within 120? But I understand it now. Thanks.
It's rural residential as well. So that's sort of contributes to that. Like that's the, okay. Any other questions or comments from the committee before we proceed? Any clarifications that are further?
No, I have none.
No, I'm good.
I think on the positive, or one of the positives that have come out of the discussion for myself anyway, is the fact that there is this easement and that there, rather than seeing development, and that may be a concern for some of the delegates along Drayton Road, they won't actually, the access will be off of the easement or potentially could be off of the easement. And then some bush remains and visually the neighborhood fabric, as was shared by some of the delegates, would not be necessarily impacted, not visually anyway. Just a comment. Okay, so before we proceed, what I would like to do maybe that is to hear from our delegations. And what do you think? I think maybe we should start with Mrs. Ford and then give the applicant a chance to respond, not only to the questions that we have, but as well her concerns. So Joanne, you have the floor.
She's on mute.
Sorry. I just want to get some clarification on that diagram that he just posted. It wasn't provided to the consultant's report. Is that correct? That one there? Is that correct, Jamie? That was not in the package that was provided. I can't hear him.
Third page.
sorry, there we go. What was updated, there is a drawing in the application package. What's been updated is we included the frontages to make it clear what the frontages were. But there is a diagram that shows this lot configuration in the application package.
What, and what application package? And his? I don't have-
Sorry, in the staff report.
Oh, because I didn't get it. I just got the application only has three pages. There's nowhere in there on the application does it show that one. And then the report that came, the planning report, there's nothing there as well.
Some of this was done,
Some of the
if you
information
will.
missing for
Yeah, no, it's not missing. The committee receives the full packages, the full report. So we do have all the information in order to make decisions and going forward. But of course, as things progress, there are questions that come out and concerns and issues. And there was some issues that came out with your letter. There was some concerns, emails that went back and forth that you weren't privy to as well, Joanne, just myself asking for some clarity around the easement and around the rural residential versus the rural shoreline. And that's just to make sure in our minds that we understand what it is we're dealing with. But you now have that diagram before you. Do you have any questions with respect to this proposed new lot versus the existing?
You're muted, Joanne.
Okay, sorry. The proposed lot is under on the consultant's report. Right now, that lot only has 115 meters, right? And the zoning bylaw will implement setbacks at the future development located be 120 from Abram Lake. So right now is my understanding that they're going to have to get more land, right? So how big is that? How big is that lot? If you're
No.
asking for 2.5, yeah, it does say right there. It says the proposed new lot is located approximately 115 meters from the shoreline of Abram Lake and will be accessed from Drayton Road.
So if I may, if
Yes, please.
I'm sharing my screen right now, what it identifies, the 115 meters is from here to here. So it's 115 meters. So this lot is 1 hectare in size. So it's 50 meters of frontage by 200 meters of depth. And that's how we get the 10,000 square meters in lot area, which is 1 hectare in size.
It's very unclear when I had the documentation because there was nowhere there to say 50 on the front. According to your page and page 3 of 8, you show lot 1 being 50 meters, lot 2 being 60 meters, but there's nothing saying on Drayton Road. It's on the lake, and the new lot's going to be 50 meters on Drayton Road. So it's very confusing, conflicting numbers.
It's not conflicting, Joanne. It's just, it's the
Excuse me,
sets of
Donna.
numbers.
It is, I'm telling you, it's confusing to me.
Okay,
Might
okay.
not be
I
confusing
appreciate
to
that.
you, but it's confusing to me.
And this
So-
is why it's about the impact of the water quality on Abram Lake is what we're talking about. And that is why, as one of the conditions, if we were to go forward with this, one of the conditions would be a zoning bylaw amendment, which I understand just tonight, Jamie has shared with us that has been submitted at the same time should this go forward. So the applicant would have to change the new lot to an RR designation.
Mhm.
I think where you may be confused is it's from the shoreline. It's 115 versus the 120. So it would be basically a setback we're talking about.
Yeah, a setback, and that's what I'm saying. So therefore, that's going to decrease these 2 lots that currently exist. Is that right or correct? So we truly don't know what the 2 existing lots are going to be after this happens, and the new lot, how much it's going to be. And in fact, if you do that easement, according to the figure 4 proposed easement of the report of the consultant, the easement is there, and there is a big a chunk of land being taken away. So now that lot is even smaller than what you're saying it is. So there needs to be clarification. How big is that lot? If you're saying you need 2.5 to do it, I don't think you have it.
Maybe I can just
And-
assist, Madam Chair.
If you would, please.
I'm just telling you what I observed based upon all the information that's provided to me, right? And that's what it's all I can go on.
So would you like, if I may, maybe I can just
Oh,
make
there
sure,
we
I
go.
want to make sure that you have an understanding of what's occurring here. So maybe we can just
Yeah.
walk through it.
Thank you, Jamie. I think we need to walk through it again because there isn't an understanding of the 3 lots and the configuration. And a large part of that, and I agree with Joanne, has to do with the fact that even the site plan that we're given today does not have any measurements on it. And that's one of my pet peeves because I like to see measurements so that I can very much understand, and perhaps this is what this delegate's getting at as well. So if you could walk us through, Jamie, and maybe just share some of those measurements so that
Yep.
we all have an understanding of what we're talking about.
Okay,
Can
I
I
will,
just speak one more thing before you, so just for clarification in my mind?
certainly.
There's the rest of my letter. you said that the combined lot area is 8.3 acres. Well, if you add up the 3.8 and the 4.4, you do not get 8.3 acres, you get 8.2 acres right off the bat. And that should have been picked up right off the bat because it says here in the application, as well as in your report, through the consultant's report. So right there's an error in acres. We don't really know what we're dealing with. Is it 8.2? Is it 8.3? So until we get a good idea as to what this whole lot's about, it's very, very confusing. There's nothing concrete saying what it is. I'm only going on the information that you guys provided to me. Thank you.
Oops, sorry, I'm muted. Sure. Now we're going to let Jamie walk us through so that we all have a shared understanding of the size of each of the lots and what is being asked or what is being included in the application. And we all understand the frontages and the setbacks. Jamie?
Certainly. So the first lot is, I'm going to talk about should the application be approved. I won't talk about what they exist today, but should they be approved. So the first lot is this lot here that would be bound by this yellow line and this red line and then back up here. That lot is lot 1 here. It has an area of 1.1 hectares. And has a frontage of 50 meters. And the frontage for that lot would be measured along Abram Lake in that area. And the reason we measure frontage along Abram Lake is because the zoning bylaw and the definitions of the bylaw tell us that if a lot has frontage on a lake, that's where the frontage is taken from. It's not taken from the road. So, and this distance here is about 115 meters approximately. The second lot, which is would be the existing lot in this location, which is bounded by this yellow line and the red line. It has a frontage, which is 60 meters on the lake. And again, has the depth of about 115 meters to this location. So you can see from a scale perspective, the existing buildings that are and the existing dwellings that exist on that property or they're set back from the lake. You can see their scale and how they would be located. And you can see from other lots the sizes of dwellings that generally exist in the area. The new proposed lot, which is identified here, would have a lot area of 1 hectare. So again, 50 meters of frontage across Drayton Road, 200 meters of depth, which gets us to the 1 hectare in lot size, which is 10,000 square meters. So 50 meters of frontage, 1 hectare in lot size, about 200 meters deep. If we compare it to some of the other lots on Drayton Road that contain dwellings, such as the one in this location here, this dwelling's located along the road as opposed to the shoreline. We can see that from a scale perspective, 50 meters, just over 150 feet, does provide ample room for a dwelling to be located in a rural residential perspective. So that's basically a summary of how the lot configurations are laid out. I'm not going to get into the specifics on whether 8.2 is right or 8.3 is right. I think it's somewhat irrelevant at this instance. From a condition of provisional consent requirement, one of the conditions, if it is approved by the committee this evening, would be that the applicants would have to prepare what's called a reference plan. And that reference plan is effectively a survey that would describe this parcel as part 1 and part 2 on a reference plan, and they wouldn't be able to be conveyed separately. And that reference plan would detail the very specific lot size and lot area. At this stage, at the consent state, at the committee of adjustment stage, we don't need to be exactly specific with the dimensions. That's a survey exercise that comes as a condition. At this stage, we have to be able to demonstrate that the lots would comply with the zoning bylaw, both from an area and a frontage perspective, and be reasonably close in terms of the dimensions and that are identified in the application package. And based on staff's review, we believe that that has been undertaken appropriately. So hopefully that provides a bit of clarity in terms of the frontages and in terms of the areas and in terms of the buildable areas on each lot in the context of the surrounding. And I think if there's any other questions, Madam Chair, I can do my best to try to answer those.
I think, sorry to interrupt you, I think we need to better explain the easement part of it. I think
I haven't
Joanne may
finished.
feel that the
No.
easement takes away from the frontage when
It
indeed it's
doesn't, yeah.
still, the property does not change hands. An easement is just permits access over somebody else's property, so.
Certainly. So this easement that's identified here, an easement, somewhat of a paper exercise. It does not change the frontage of this property. It does not change the frontage of the second lot here that's existing. It's just, if you were to characterize it, it's effectively an overlay that goes over top of the land from a legal perspective and grants the ability for these folks to cross or trespass over that property in a legal manner. It doesn't change any of the configurations of those lots.
It does, hello, it does change the configuration now of the lots, because now the existing lots, Mitch's and the other one, does not have the frontage, the road allowance of frontage has now been decreased. So it does change. It changes the two existing lots. They do not meet the required road allowance on that side now. If you're saying 50 and 50, that lot does not meet that, and neither does the other one.
But they do, Joanne, simply because you do not lose your property when there is an easement on it, it still remains your property. However, there is
I'm not talking about that.
paper exercise. I know, I recognize, and that's why I asked Jamie very early on, because I appreciated that you did not understand perhaps what an easement is on a property.
I'm not talking about the easement. I'm talking about the land that's now going to be left there, the little red from the existing ones that there now obviously meet the road allowance, but when this new lot comes on, they're not going to meet the road allowance. It's reduced now.
So speaking to that, for the
So what-
lakeshore lots, the frontage is defined by the lakeshore side. For rural lots, the frontage is defined by the roadside.
Yeah, but
So
now
when we
that is
talk
not,
about-
that is not a road shoreline. It's right now it's designated shoreline.
Yeah, I realize that, but
then-
it's
so
not
what
road
happens-
allowance we're looking at, it's frontage. You have to have a minimum frontage of technically 40 meters. But
Where's that on what? On that road? On Drayton Road, you're saying?
on any rural lot, you need a frontage of 40 meters according to our zoning bylaw.
Yeah, but I want clarification. Are you talking Drayton Road, or are you talking the lakeshore frontage?
So with lakeshore, if a lakeshore property, frontage is measured on the lakeshore, not the roadside.
Okay,
You got to maintain a minimum in the new zoning bylaw, 40 meters of lakeshore frontage.
yeah,
And if it's a rural property that isn't on the lake, you have to maintain a minimum frontage on a roadway, a municipally maintained road or a potentially private road of 40 meters.
I didn't see that anywhere. There was information that you guys provided either. I'm sorry to say. I did not find 40 meters.
Well, they're proposing
Okay,
50
fine.
meters. So they're
Okay,
exceeding
but-
what
yeah,
is the
Yeah,
minimum.
but you're still taking away from the other existing things. So it's like me, I can go put in here. I still have my driveway. So to me, it does not make sense. So you're gonna just say that the two existing roads, existing lots no longer have to have the 50 frontage?
They have frontage on the lakeside. That's how it's defined in the zoning bylaws. Lakeshore lots, the frontage is defined on the lakeshore side.
But now you're
Not the
taking,
roads.
well, they're not gonna.
Wait. Let's
Okay.
slow down here a little bit,
Okay.
okay? Let's slow down.
All I'm saying,
Let's
though,
not get into argument. We're just
No.
trying to explain how we
Trying to-
have the rules and we have to interpret them.
I know.
We have rules and guidelines based
I
on the
know.
official plan, based on the zoning bylaws. And that's what Jody is trying to share with you.
Yes.
All we're asking here, Joanne, is, and I understand you maybe did not have privy to some of this information. We are now sharing it with you. So please listen, and he will share with you what exactly is required. If this should go forward, and we're not saying at this point it is, we're not finished the discussion yet, but what is required as far as frontage and how it's designated, how it's seen, what rules it has to follow.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm just making a point, and it's been in my letter as well, that the 2 existing lots are going to be changed now. And these are right now classified as residential shoreline. So how can they become now residential shoreline, and are the new ones going to be, or I understand that, but how can you change it just like that?
That's what the applicant is asking, is for us to change it by consent
And
to
will they
allow
have,
him to, but the condition would be that he would have to get a zoning amendment so that this would be recognized, this new parcel would be recognized as rural residential versus the 2 existing lots that are recognized as rural shoreline.
so they would have to get amended too then? Is there no longer, they're no longer having the, pardon?
Jody, maybe you could help me out here.
The existing lots meet the frontage requirements of the zoning bylaw due to the fact that they have enough frontage on the lake side, which is how frontage is determined for lakeshore lots.
Okay, but I'm saying they're not going to have it. I mean, they're not.
Joanne,
I have a right to
you're not.
I'm sorry.
Absolutely. I don't know if you understand, and I want to make sure you understand that the rural shoreline, it is the frontage on the lake.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
And then the new lot, which if we decide to proceed and approve and allow this proposal to go forward, the new lot would have to go through an amendment and be designated as residential rural, and therefore that frontage would be on Drayton Road.
For that new lot. But it still
Right.
changes all the configuration of the other lots too.
The frontage doesn't change
I'm
on the
not
other 2
saying that, I'm
lots.
not saying the lakeshore front, it does change at the back and smaller now.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so there's no
Yes,
50
approved.
meters.
absolutely.
So they don't have 50 meters on that side and they don't have 50 meters on that side. So therefore they're not meeting the requirements of the bylaws of Silicote, I guess.
If I may, the frontage on the
Please.
road does decrease, but there is no bylaw requirement frontage. That 50 meters of frontage requirement does not exist here. It exists here, and that's where they meet it. And I think Mr. Brinkman has tried to explain that as well. So they do meet the frontage requirements of the bylaw for these retained lots.
Okay, I disagree, but. And where's the proposed road? Is it gonna be a proposed road going into that lot? What did they say? Where is it, or
In this location.
Nope.
where's the road?
That's something
It's an
we talked about, that was discussed earlier, that the question is where would the new driveway be to service this lot if it was approved? And they would have to, if they propose a driveway in this area, they'd have to apply for an entrance permit. Their other option would be to use this existing entrance here. If the committee did not want to see another entrance along Drayton Road across the frontage of that property, the committee could require as a condition of provisional consent that the entrance be at the existing location, that there be no other entrances included. That hasn't been included as one of the conditions recommended by staff at this point, but that could be something that the committee add as a condition if they don't want to see any other driveways across the frontage of Drayton Road. So for example, if there were concerns from the surrounding residents that they didn't want to see any views impacted or trees along the frontage of the property impacted or any additional entrances,
Right?
the committee could recommend that the existing driveway be used as the entrance location, the committee could require a certain setback from that the zoning also include an increased setback from that front lot line, for example, and that the zoning include a vegetation protection zone against the road to ensure maintaining that vegetation so that it doesn't have an impact. Those aren't things that we've recommended, but those are things the committee could add if they hear concerns about changes to character of the area or those sorts of things to limit the impact of on the change of character.
Okay, and the other question I have regarding this diagram as well. We talk about 673 and we talk about 674, we talk about 675, we talk about 677. I see that line, that red line. I couldn't find 673, by the way. There's a 674 posted at the driveway, and there's a posted 677. I think they're called fire, ambulance, whatever the numbers are. So I couldn't find the 673 and the 674. So are you saying that the 673 is going to go on the other side of 674? Like, I don't understand that whole configuration. How can you transfer land from one over top the other? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Not entirely, but what
Okay, if you look at that line, could you please tell me where 673 is then?
this lot right here. So the existing lot is 673.
Okay, so but the sign is right at the end of the driveway up there, and it's 674. So it's obviously like, what's the space between 673 and 674? It doesn't look like there's much there to deal with. And same thing, I mean, the other one's okay because it's 677, 675. So how
Yeah,
can
through you, Madam Chair, to the resident, this isn't an exercise today where we decide what the right 911 numbers would be for each of the properties.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying I'm not saying about the 911 thing.
Joanne,
Just a minute. I'm providing clarification for him. I'm sorry.
I understand
Right now,
that, but we are not worried at this point about the numbers. We recognize that the two existing lots are 673 and 675 Drayton Road. At some point in the future, we'll go forward. But we're not sure what you're asking. I'm sorry, I'm confused. I understand. You saw another number.
Donna, you're confused. I couldn't find 673 Drayton Road. There's no sign out there that says 673. For me to make a best informed decision on what's happening here, I found 674. That's on the end of Mitch's, and right on the edge of the property, and 677's for, I think it's Rick's on this side. But I couldn't find those signs. So I don't have all the information to work with, and that's what I'm trying to make a point as well. And that's addressed in my letter. So how can you ask us to make the 673 is over there, you know, you're going to flip it over to 674? I don't understand.
There are two lots that we're considering tonight. These two lots are 673 Drayton, and that was explained to you as the first lot that is owned by Mitch and Anita Wills, and 675 is the second lot, and that's owned by the three brothers. That's my understanding. They want to take portions of both of these lots and combine them to create a new lot that would be rural residential between the two that fronts on Drayton Road. That's my understanding. I'm not going to get hung up on 911 numbers or addresses or numbers that couldn't be found or could be found. This was what was explained to me.
Okay.
And this is what I understand.
But as a resident of
So
Drayton,
when I say you're
have,
confusing me, I'd like to know exactly what you're asking.
I'm just telling you.
What are you asking, Joanne?
In my letters, I couldn't find 673. I couldn't find 675. How can I make a decision on what's the land? Like, I don't understand all that.
We're not asking you to make a decision. We're asking you to understand what it is that's being proposed. Okay.
Okay.
Do you have any other questions, Joanne?
Yeah, I have time to make a presentation, right? And ask questions.
Absolutely.
Okay, and that's what I'm doing. But I wanted to, and I wanted right now to be duly noted that I cannot agree to the approval of this application based on the information I provided and the lack of information I'm getting. I cannot give my approval on this.
We understand.
There's too many numbers
there-
all over the numbers and the report.
Understood. This committee understands your concerns.
Okay.
Do you have any other questions that you want to put or any clarifications other than what we've already discussed?
I want to note it too, that you say that the existing lots will not meet the required 50 meters that Mr. Brinkman had mentioned, of 40 meters on Drayton Road. I want that noted as well.
I'm afraid I have to differ with you on that front, but it's noted. Is there anything else?
Whatever the frontage is, yeah, whatever.
Before we give the applicant a chance to respond, and he has absolutely a chance to respond to not only our inquiries, but yours as well.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you would like to share?
No, not at this time.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Wills,
Yes.
good evening. You've heard there's some concerns from my committee members as well as from the public. There's been delegations. Sure, is there anything else that you would like to share with us before a decision is rendered?
Sure. I've actually prepared a small little statement and a presentation. Am I on screen here, or am I just looking at some pictures?
No, I see you.
Okay, there we go. Hello, everybody. Thanks for giving me a chance to speak. Actually, the first item that I wanted to address, and I made this all up actually, Donna, before the discussion tonight. I wanted to address all the questions that the neighbors had. Very unique situation. Normally, I would have gone to every door, talked to everybody, but because of COVID, I never got that opportunity. I would have explained everything to everybody. I'm not in the business of trying to do something behind someone's back or to skirt around the rules. So I'm sorry, Joanna, if you haven't felt that you were given the proper information. I would have done that personally if I had a
I don't
chance.
have proper information. Thank you.
Okay, so just to clarify a couple of things to start with. For the purpose of the consent, 673, lot 673 is owned by Mitchell and Anita Wills. 675 is owned by Mitchell Wills, Ricky Wills, and Jeffrey Wills, my two brothers. First things first, to make it very clear, 674 was just the road number that was given from years ago, and it's the wrong side. We're supposed to be even numbers, but for some reason, we're supposed to be odd numbers. You guys are even numbers. For some reason, we were given 674 years ago. When we changed these lots, the new numbers were handed out, 673, 675, and my brother's lot is 677. So 674 is numbered there. Part of the reason why it's still there is just because of shipping and whatnot, but all that can be corrected. And as Jamie said, the fire department is the one who's consulted as far as the numbers. And I'm very clear. I'll wait to hear what they tell us, what we're supposed to do for numbers, and I will make sure that those numbers are identified. With this, discussing about the easement of the road, I was going to put an opportunity in there to change, if I needed to change my entrance. If the town wants me to keep the same entrance, if I can, I'll try to enlarge it as large as I can, just so that there's more access for everybody coming in and out of that road. That was just a discussion that I had with Jody, actually, when we were looking at this. The new proposed lot, just so everyone's clear, is going to be a rural residential designation, single family dwelling, very clear. It'll be, all the setbacks will be met with proper application and permits. And I am not building a multi-residential building there. I think there's been some sort of discussion from a few people in the neighborhood that they thought maybe because I do that, this is where I was going to do it. That's not the case. Just to clarify too, all the numbers, everybody, they're very accurate. 3.83. I know that somewhere along the way, maybe it just got transposed and they took the second decimal out. My lot is 3.83 acres. That's 673. 675 is 4.44. These are undisputed measurements that are right on my deed. So it is a total of 8.27. The new lot's going to be 2.5. As you can see, I need 7.5 to make up 3 lots. I've got plenty of acreage to do that. As well, my application actually was 51.5 frontage on Drayton and 195 depth. Again, these are all just numbers until we actually get a survey to get everything set. But the 195 allows me to keep the 120 back from the lake and still maintain my 2.5. I'll be asking the surveyor to make those arrangements for me, and it'll be a reference plan. Before the town approves it, they'll obviously have to look at what I provide them. So that'll be clarified. And yes, this is a very unique situation. You know, I own 1 or 2 properties. It's not something that's going to happen everywhere, because I don't think that a lot of people have this much land, and the situation is very limited in the area. So that's, I guess, basically what I want to mention about that. This last year, just so everyone, has given us all some time to reflect, okay? I'm looking at this as an opportunity simply to build something for my daughter, to help build an asset, and to bring our family closer together. So that's why I'm doing this. This isn't a home to, this is something my family. This is where it comes to consent application. When I look at the planning report, and I want to just sort of skip down to the 411 if we could. Sorry, pardon me?
No, go ahead.
Okay,
You have the
sorry
floor.
about that. Yeah, just skip down to the summary recommendations if we could. I don't want to go through the whole thing. 2 things noted. First line, based on section 411 of the official plan, is recommended consent application 01/2021 Wills being an application for consent to create 1 new lot in the subject lands be deferred until such time the applicant can demonstrate conformity. Okay. The next line is the big question mark here really comes down to, I think, the last line. And Jamie, you can just confer with me here because we had this discussion. We're talking specifically about the back lot. Is that correct? If I can get Jamie just to pipe in and say. Anybody?
Through Madam Chair, I don't mean to, I think you need to do your presentation, Mitchell, but the reference here was to the 2nd tier of development, which is what we had talked about previously. But.
Not a problem. The next paragraph that's in the Committee of Adjustments is given the opportunity to possibly go ahead and go forward with the application. And obviously they'd have to adhere to the provisional approval and have all the recommendations included with conditions. So I see 2 options here, and that's kind of the way I look at it. I've had plenty of talks with Jody and Jamie, and in my opinion, I thought the wording of the official plan seems to be in question here. And what I was hoping to do today is actually demonstrate conformity and satisfy this committee to allow the application to go forward. I want to look really quickly at the, obviously you guys wouldn't have this in front of you, but in the town's official plan, under the Section 2 Visions, Principles, and Objectives, it very clearly gives us an understanding of what the directives is going to be. And I'm just going to read to you right from the OP. The official plan introduces a healthy community approach to land use planning in the municipality of Sioux Lookout, with a focus on the integration of land use, transportation integration to ensure that social, cultural, economic, and natural environment are considered in the management to change the municipality's future. Growth and development should be directed to locations within the 2 settlement areas where it makes financial sense by using existing and planned infrastructure. New development should be designed to use land efficiency, be responsible and natural environment compatible with existing land use. To protect and enhance the quality of life and shape the change, the official plan subscribes to the following guidelines. Sustainable development, 2.21. Municipalities shall promote sustainable development to enhance the quality of life for present and future generations. Objectives in that are to promote compact development, keywords, to direct residential development to the 2 settlement areas, the urban, Sioux Lookout, and Hudson, to support and encourage infill and intensification in built-up areas within the 2 settlement areas where municipality service exists, to permit limited residential growth in the Drayton area and the rural designation, where lot sizes and configurations can support private water systems and sanitary sewage systems, and where the development could be compatible with the character of the land use in the surrounding areas. I believe that what I'm proposing is definitely in line with the vision, principles, and objectives of the town of Sioux Lookout. It promotes growth and development by using existing infrastructure at no cost to the town, and obviously it's going to bring added tax dollars to the tax base. Okay, I want to turn to 411, and this is going to be quick. The residential shoreline designation is characterized by a single tier of shoreline development that consists of detached dwellings and existing backlots. So it's already identifying that it is consistent and consists with existing backlot developments. When we look to the next line, 411-2, it says limited lot creation is permitted in the residential shoreline designation, provided it conforms to the policies of this plan and does not cause the lake to exceed provincial water quality objectives or development levels identified in the lakeshore capacity assessment. Lot sizes and frontages in these areas must be sufficient to ensure that the natural character of the shoreline areas is maintained. The key there to me is that it says limited lot creation is permitted. This is under the same line. I know it's a second line down, but it doesn't say limited lakefront lots or limited back lots. It just says limited lot creation is permitted. I think the key words is limited lot creation, and that's what I'm asking for. The new lot and the 2 existing lots will both be conforming in lot size and frontage, identified in the official plan. The new lot will fit into the characterization and landscape of the area. Single-family dwelling I plan to build will meet all setbacks and permits required. In conclusion, I believe that the intent of 411 of the OP was not to not allow new lot creation within the residential shoreline designation, but as 411.2 states, limited lot creation is permitted in the residential shoreline designation if it conforms to the policies and plan, and the lot size and frontage of the areas are sufficient to ensure the natural character of the area is maintained. I believe the new lot does conform to 411 of the official plan and meets all requirements for the new RR lot to be created. Traffic won't be an issue, obviously, because my daughter's out here every day anyway, so it's just another trip for her. I will be setting the house back. I do plan to leave that tree buffer, okay, from Drayton Road to mitigate noise and from sight. Point of interest, there's not going to be one other person bordered on this property but my own land. And not one person will be able to see this house from their existing home. So my understanding, this will maintain the tranquility of the Drayton Road community.
Okay.
Thank
So
you.
just to be clear then, Mr. Wills, what you talked about here is a setback that would be even above and beyond what the current bylaw, zoning bylaw that's in place, as well as potentially you would have access off the easement versus Drayton Road. Is that correct?
Yes. So let me
Okay,
clear
thank
that
you.
again. What was the question?
Okay, there's two parts to it. One is you referred to the fact that there would be the setback would be not just the minimum but indeed that you would try to place the house back farther
Yeah.
from Drayton Road, so aesthetically,
Correct.
nobody is looking at it as they drive by. It would not change the fabric,
And I'm
number
doing
one.
that. I'm doing that for the home as well, not just for the neighborhood.
Absolutely. And number two was that you would consider using the easement, and we can put that as a condition potentially if this does go forward, that you would consider using the easement for the access to this new lot.
Absolutely. In fact, I thought that was going to be a problem, to be honest with you. But so I was prepared to go either way, whatever you want me to do.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Now I want only my committee members.
So
I'd like to
Donna,
have a discussion. Sorry, Jody, go ahead.
we
Yeah.
have another comment from another neighbor. I'm not sure. I know you guys have seen Joanne's comments. This is from the Sotels
Anne's.
down the road.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's make reference to it. Go ahead, Jody.
Okay,
Share
so
with
I'm
us.
just going to read the note here. To the Committee of Adjustment, we wish to contest the application for consent C01/2021 on the following basis. One, we feel that the lots are being manipulated. Parceling out a third lot from the existing two is not an approved practice. The consultants recommended deferring this application until all 7 conditions are met. The rural area of Drayton has many long lots. If this lot is approved, what is stopping others from carving out chunks of land? Drayton is a tranquil, rural neighborhood and should remain that way. People choose to live here for a reason, and becoming an urban subdivision is not one of them. 2, the Committee of Adjustment is a committee of 3 voting members, 1 member of the public and 2 councillors. Given that the municipal council has a vested interest in supporting the development of building lots rather than protecting the integrity of a neighborhood, there is a definite bias for an in-favor vote. More members of the public, as outlined in the terms of reference, would assure a more balanced vote. Respectfully submitted, Roger and Ann Sotell.
Okay, thank you. Jody, the other thing is we received comments from Bell and we didn't receive comments from the health unit. Maybe you can just touch on that.
Yeah, so comments from Bell, they have no concerns. And from the Northwest Health Unit, they will not be able to process the application and inspect the properties in time to make a comment in regards to existing and future sewage systems by the hearing date of January 20th, 2021. The Northwest Health Unit requests the condition be imposed as subject to comments / approval from Northwest Health Unit.
Thank you.
And we had no internal comments.
Nothing from Mr. Jewell?
No.
Okay, thank you. All right, so now I'd like everybody to please mute their speakers with the exception of my committee members. And I'd like to, having heard now from the delegations as well as from the applicant, and of course we have the additional letter from another neighbor, I'd like to know thoughts from my committee members with respect to, we have 3 ways that we can move on this. We can either approve it, we can defer it based on the official concerns with the official plan, or we can deny the application. Corey and Donald, do you have any thoughts, comments?
Just in reference to our official plan and how it coincides, well, it has to coincide with the provincial policy statement on rural lands. It states that lot creation is permitted. Our official plan says that as well, and that the site conditions have to be suitable for long-term provision of services, which is sewage and water, which they will be. So I just wanted to add that. Mitch had brought up those things as well. So the OP and the provincial policy statement coincide with each other as they're supposed to. And I believe lot creation, since there is ample land, lot creation can be put there. So I'm sort of leaning towards approval with all those conditions. I understand Joanne's concerns, but the lots meet all of our requirements in our bylaws. The lake frontage for the shoreline, rural shoreline, and the new rural residential meets the lot frontage as well. I would like to see that the easement be used and not another driveway put in. As Mr. Wells has indicated that to expand the current driveway. As I drove by it this morning, there isn't a lot of room from the driveway to the crossroads, basically from Drayton Road that goes down along where he accesses the property. But I'd like to see that the easement be used to access, and that he had mentioned a bit bigger setback, so you don't see the house from the road, or the people from the house don't see the road or hear traffic from the road. And that the water and sewage, I don't know if there's issues with drainage there. It meets the size required. It's 1 hectare. So that's where I stand at it right now.
Thank you. Donald?
Yeah, it was good conversation on it, and I agree with Corey that, and the chair, that we are doing things that are legal within the municipality for the lot size and all the dimensions and that. And I think if he has to make an amendment to the official plan, that's going to take time. And I don't think we got the numbers just about right that we can't argue that against it. So I think I'll be voting yes for it.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
I see this as a very large piece of property. And as such, with well over what is required to create 3 more than ample, they're larger than what the minimum requirement is for both shoreline as well as the meeting the rural residential. And of course, we would put that in as a requirement. I also don't have an issue, especially if Mr. Wills is prepared, as he stated, to ensure that the aesthetics from Drayton Road are kept in mind when he builds his daughter's house. And the other fact is that access off of the easement versus Drayton Road, I think would very much alleviate most of the concerns or the issues that are being presented by the neighbors, from what we've heard from Mr. and Mrs. Ford and Mr. and Mrs. Sautel. So I'm tending to think, because of the mitigation measures that the applicant is prepared to put in place, I have no real huge issue with this as well. Reality is that we need to continue to develop, and we need to find infill where we can. I don't think that second tier development is going to happen in a manner that would be unkeeping with the existing fabric in the neighborhood. I think this is unique because it's such a large piece of property, such a large parcel of land, taking the 2 and combining the 673 and 675. Those are my thoughts. So I have no issue with it as well. Dawn, you're trying to get my attention?
Yes. I just want to make a clarification from Mr. Wells' statement about Drayton Settlement Area. In the official plan, it is not called the Drayton Settlement Area, it's just Drayton Area. Just so there's no discussion about it. And
Yeah, we've walked down that road before. We don't want to open up that can of worms. Just
Yep.
Drayton.
Yep, just Drayton
It's all
Area.
part of Sioux Lookout.
Well, there's a few
Okay.
different things that you have to do for a settlement area, right? And as opposed to Drayton, it's in the
That's right.
positive.
Okay, so I think it's time for our committee to vote. And I think that for myself, I would like to, there's potentially 3 different things that we can do. I think the first one is to approve it. And I'd like to put a motion on the floor that we approve this proposal, this application, but it would have several conditions, which were all of those listed by our support staff, our planners, as well as the reference plan that we spoke about, the just an understanding on the frontage and the access being off of the easement. And I think we'll include those three items. Would you gentlemen like me to quickly read over all of those conditions so that we all have that clear in our minds before we vote?
Yes, please.
Okay. So we have then before the Committee of Adjustment an application by Mr. Mitch Wills, 673, 675 Drayton Road. The purpose is to create one new rural residential lot on the subject lands. The subject lands are comprised of 2 lots, Lot 1, 673, Lot 2, 675. We, the undersigned, in making this decision upon the application of consent, in addition to this matter, have regard to the matters that are to be had regarding under subsection 5124 of the Planning Act, and have considered whether a plan of subdivision in accordance with section 50 of the Act is necessary for the proper and orderly development of the municipality to occur following this decisions made this date, 26 January 21. The recommendations is based on section 4.11 of the official plan. It is recommended that the consent application C01-2021 Wills, being an application for consent to create new lots on the subject lands, no, we're not doing that one. We are, sorry guys, give me a minute. She's got the 2 of them together here. Here we go. So we have a motion on the floor that consent application C01-2021 for 673 and 675 Drayton Road to create one new residential lot by severing portions of 673 Drayton Road and 675 Drayton Road and establishing an easement over the new lot to recognize the location of an existing driveway. The following conditions are recommended to be in the following documents must be provided for the transaction. Number 2, the original executed transfer deed forms, a duplicate original and 1 photocopy for our records. Schedule of the transfer deed form on which to set out the entire legal description of the parcel in question. And that includes a reference plan. Reference plan of survey which bears the land titles office registration numbers and signatures as evidenced in the deposit therein, illustrating the parcel to which the consent approval relates. And the transfer deed form noted shall not identify the transferee and transferor and transferee as the same person. Payment of cash in lieu of for parkland prior to final approval. The applicant apply and obtain an approval of a zoning bylaw amendment for the new lot to be rezoned to the rural residential RR zone to include setbacks so that development is at least 120 meters away from the shoreline of Agram Lake. That confirmation be provided that water supply and septic system can be sited on the new lot to the satisfaction of the municipality. That the easement be registered on title for lot number 2 and the new lot to recognize the existing private road and access to other properties to the west of the subject lands. That the applicant provide the municipality with confirmation from a lawyer that the portions of the severed lot cannot be conveyed separately or have been registered as one lot. And then the final one that we're going to put in there, the condition, is the entrance off the easement. Is that correct? Is that the understanding? So now I have a motion. I need it to be moved.
Corey?
Don Fenlon,
Corey Legel will move the motion and it's seconded by Donald Fenlon. All those in favor? Perfect. That's carried, gentlemen. Now, Mr. Wills, you're going to have to visit the town office, of course, and get all of these documents from the planning office so that you understand all those conditions that have to be met prior to moving forward. Okay.
I add one thing?
Okay. So do we have any, moving on now from the application, do we have any old business?
There is no old business.
Thanks, Sylvia. Any new business?
Yes, we do. We have a consent application, CO2 2021, and a minor variance application, MO1 2021, submitted by Mr. Pauly. And those applications will be reviewed at our next meeting on February 16th.
Okay, perfect. And you'll be in touch with us for the package distribution in advance of that.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So now I have a motion on the floor and I need to have it moved and seconded for the adjournment of this meeting.
I think Mr. Wells wanted to say something, or
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you have, put up your
Just
hand
one
there,
thing.
Mitch. Otherwise I'll just
Mine-
barrel right on through.
Yeah, sorry. It's my understanding that we still have a council meeting for zoning amendment next month. So I had prepared, I've got a few things lined up, but I'm probably going to wait until after that zoning is done before I actually get the reference plan started, if that's okay. Just because they're in town the end of February anyway, and as far as getting the surveys and I'll do the MOE study as well. And
You
Just
have
wanna
a
make
year
sure.
to complete the conditions.
You have a
so-
year, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have, it is the applicant or your agent's responsibility to fulfill the conditions of the consent approval within 1 year from the date of this letter pursuant to section 53 of the Planning Act. We will issue no further notice or warning of the expiration of that 1 year period. Is that understood, Mitch? So you have 1 year from the signing of these documents. So when you pick them up from Sylvie, that's when that clock starts. We
Okay.
don't, I understand you have a lot of things that you need to do in order to meet all those conditions.
No, not a problem. Thank you very much.
Is there anything else? No? Okay,
Yes, there is. Yes, I like to speak.
sure.
I could,
Go
I
ahead.
could do the appeal. I could do an appeal on the decision made tonight. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And I have, how many days to do that?
20 days.
Pardon me?
20 days.
I have up to 20 days from today?
Yeah.
So I can, okay, 20 days from today's date.
Let me go back here, Joanne. I can read you that section again. Okay. Our committee makes the final decision and there is a 20-day appeal period from that date of the decision. Any person who objects to the proposed consent may do so in writing. It
Yep.
has to be in writing
Yeah.
to the secretary
everything's in writing.
treasurer of the committee, and you must attach the fee required for the appeal. The appeal will be forwarded to the local planning appeal tribunal for their review.
What is the fee?
I have no idea.
I believe it's $1,100 now.
Well, where can I get that information?
Well, Kirsten will send you, Kristen will send you a link.
Is that fee from the town of Sulacout or?
That's a provincial government, a check's made out to the Minister of Finance.
Okay, so that's what the appeal goes to then?
The appeal's
Yes.
submitted to the clerk at the municipality, and then the municipality forwards it off to the province.
Okay. And I have 20 days to do that. From this date. Correct?
Yes, that's right. That's right.
So then, if I appeal it, then how does that put how does that affect this application, I guess?
Well, my understanding is the tribunal will review it and they will determine whether they will overrule or overset our decision that we made here today, or if they agree with our decision and they will notify you same.
So say that again? Say that again, I'm
The-
sorry.
the- That's okay. The appeal, the tribunal appeal that provincially will review all of this package and the decision that the committee made here today,
Yeah,
and they will determine whether they agree with us or whether they differ. And if they differ, then it'll come back through our planning board, through the planning folks, Jody and Sylvie and Kristen and others, Jamie, and you will be notified.
okay. Okay,
The applicant, of course, is first and foremost.
yes. So if I have any questions, who do I contact regarding the appeal?
You can
Jody?
contact our office, Kristen or Sylvia,
They'll answer my questions then?
to the best of their ability,
Yes.
yes.
Sure, that's good to hear.
And there is a link that Kristen, can you please send that link? Forward it to Joanne Forward. You have her email? Make sure that she receives it.
Yes, I
She
do, Madam
understands.
Chair. I will send all that information to her, no problem.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
There you
very
go,
much.
Joanne.
Thank you.
Thanks,
So
Joanne.
if there's nothing, if there's nothing else, we're going to have a mover and a seconder to adjourn our meeting today. Corey
Moved by Corey.
and seconded by Donald. The Committee of Adjustment meeting of January 26th is adjourned at 6:47 PM. All those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you, everybody, for all your hard work and time.
It was a good one.
Yeah, it
you.
was.
Good night.
Good
Good night.
discussion. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Right.
Thank you.